All right, we are live. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to VOC exclusive interview with Mr. Thomas G. Nelson. We are very thrilled to have him as our guest for our Fireside Chat program. He is a retired missionary and a dedicated Chin advocate who has extensively studied Chin missionary work. So, Tom, if you don't mind, please introduce yourself for those of us who don't know you yet.
Okay, you can call me Uncle Tom. Most of the Chin people call me Uncle Tom these days because I've had many contacts with the Chin people. And I come from Kansas, right in the middle of the United States, and I'm in the middle of Kansas. So I'm exactly in the middle of the United States. I grew up on a farm, and then I came to, after college, I taught high school for a couple of years. And then I got my master's degree. After that, I wondered, what should I be doing? Fortunately, I had a pastor who had been a missionary in Brazil. And so he said, why don't you be a missionary? And I said, I'm not sure that I could do that. And he said, no, just try. So anyway, I went to Japan in 1979, long ago. I was in Japan about 12 years, and then I was in Europe in Slovakia for 3 years, and then I was in Malaysia for 1 year. So I was always working for Lutheran churches and schools, and a lot of time in Asia. So maybe that has helped me understand a little bit more about the Chin people and how that I can be involved with them.
Thank you, Tom. Well, what inspired you to become an advocate for the Chim people since you traveled to a lot of places, especially in Asia? And how has your work evolved over the years?
Well, I am an American, but I don't feel always at home in America because I've had international experience. And one day I met a guy who was selling sushi and making sushi in our local supermarket. Now, my town is only 3,000 people. And so it was kind of wonderful that we had sushi because I got used to eating sushi in Japan. And so I talked to this guy and I said, uh, do you know Japanese people? And he said, well, I'm not Japanese. And I said, well, that's okay. And so then later he told me, he said, my brother has been killed in a landmine accident in Myanmar. And I just felt like there's something that I need to do for this person because I know what it's like to be alone in a community and to not speak the language. And so I said, come over to my house. And I didn't know anything about him. I thought he was probably a Buddhist because, Myanmar probably equals Buddhist, right? So, anyway, as I was talking to him, suddenly he started talking about his church, the Baptist church. And I said, what town do you come from? And he said, Hakka. And so I got out my phone and looked about where Hakka was. And he said that he was a Chin. I had never heard of Chin people before. And so, anyway, I started doing all of this study. And it was so exciting for me to know that Christianity is so much a part of the Chin culture. And I had no idea the number of Baptists that are in that part of the world. And so it was really, really interesting. And then I said, well, how are we connected in other ways? Well, this is something that I want Chin people to realize. In the late 1800s, there was a huge mission movement. And um, there was one group that was called the Student Volunteer Movement. It was started in 1886. And this volunteer movement, the idea was that they would ask college students, do you feel like that God is calling you to be a missionary? And so there was a huge amount of missionary activity. And so I knew that probably there was a connection between the Chin people and Americans, and it was true. So I read uh, Laura Carson's book about her life, and here suddenly I realized she came from Nebraska, 4 hours away from where I live. And so I went up to her town and saw the farm where she grew up and the land where she taught school. And it's just amazing that most of the people who were missionaries in Chin State were from America, and more than that, that they were Swedish Americans. And so the Dr. East, Dr. Wooden, Dr. Nelson, Dr. Johnson, all of those, the majority of the missionaries to Chinram were Swedish in background, like me. And so another thing that happened at that time was that a lot of women in churches, in many denominations, said, we can't be pastors, but what we want to do is we want to help women and children around the world. We want to help with education. We want to help with medical needs. We want to do anything we can to help them. And so they made these missionary societies. And the first one that I know about that was really strong was in 1872. The Methodists, they started recruiting young female single missionaries to go to many places around the world. And I've been doing some research about some of these people. It's unbelievable because if they had stayed in Nebraska or Kansas or Illinois or someplace like that, they would have got married, had children. Maybe they could have taught in a small school, but they went to these other countries and became professors and heads of universities and had a tremendous career. So it helped women in America, enabling them to have better jobs. So everything worked together. And so the people who were missionaries, they wrote to these missionary societies in America. And so it suddenly dawned on me the connections. Like I say, I think that the Chin people and the people that are in Lindsborg are first cousins because we have that kind of connection. And finally, through my research, I was able to find that Dr. East did come to Lindsborg and spoke. And the missionary group from his Baptist church probably gave money for his hospital in Hakka. And so I realize now that the name Chin was maybe very well known in our little town of Lindsborg long ago. So I don't think that the Chin people realize about this background of missionary work, and the people in Lindsborg don't realize they've forgotten So I think I have two jobs to do to tell Sheen people that it would be good to study the background of some of their missionaries, but also I need to help people in Lindsborg and in other places realize that Sheen people are special and phenomenal, and also we have a natural connection with each other.
Very interesting, Tom. So you are also you have background of Swedish descent. So how do you see the connection between your advocacy efforts and the foundation laid by the early missionaries that you mentioned in Chinstay?
Well, I think that I haven't quite discovered yet why so many Swedish people wanted to be missionaries. I'm still trying to study about that. But, you know, the thing that I say over and over and over to people is that don't think of these missionaries as superstars. Don't think of them as somebody special. They would, if you talk to them, they would say, no, we're not special. They were just common, ordinary people who felt this need to help. Something that really is interesting to me is that I am able now, as I'm searching around in old newspapers, I find out that they were writing about the Chin people to people in the United States. There was no need for them to say nice things about the Chin people, right? Because they knew that Chin people would never read this. But I have never found anything where they say anything bad about Chin people. They always are positive, and they are saying they have been repressed, they have been prejudiced against, and we have to somehow work together with them. So I've been very, very impressed with what I've seen. And so, yeah, I think that at that time, you had people that were like Laura Carson, Arthur Carson, they were just farmers, and their lives in Nebraska were really, really hard. And so they were used to that kind of feeling, uh, that they were going to be facing hard times. And uh, another thing I love about this reading about these missionaries, Dr. East said the pigs that the Chin people have are so pathetic. They're so small, and we need to bring in some new pigs so that we can get a better kind of, a tastier pig and so forth. So he had pigs brought in from England, and the Carsons said, look at the Chin corn, it's only this high. We're going to, when we go home for a vacation, we're going to bring corn from Nebraska. And they did. And so, you know, I'm not surprised that sabuti is a very popular dish because it has a lot of corn in it, right? And
Right.
so a lot of the corn that Chin people have eaten through the years came from Nebraska. So,
Oh,
that's one of the things that I see about the missionaries. And that's what I feel too. When I was in Japan, I worried a lot about I can't speak Japanese well. How do I fit in? Well, the answer to that is that you are with the people. You're with the people. And it doesn't make any difference what you say, that you're with the people. And there's um, in Chin mythology, there's the idea that Chin people came out of a cave, right? And so I tell all of the Chin people that I meet, don't stay in your own little group. try to mix in with other people. And if they say, well, we don't speak English, I say, that's not the point. We need to be with each other. We need to share with each other. We need to eat together. We need to laugh together. We need to um, cry together. We need to look at each other as real people. And so I think that that is one of the challenges that I would say for the Chin living in America or in other countries where they are refugees. Get to know the people. Okay.
Great message. Thank you. Thank you. As you know, right now, Burma is going through war, civil war, and given the challenges, posed by the Myanmar military junta government, how do you approach advocating for the religious freedom and human rights of the Chin people today?
Well, when I first started studying, I said, there's no way that I'm really going to be able to understand the political situation. All I can do is look at Chin people and the miracle that has happened through um, getting becoming Christianized and becoming a real people that have strength. And of course, that's going to be very difficult for the Myanmar government to accept. There's always been prejudice against Chin and Kachin and Karen and all of these other people, the people in the Chin Hills. But what what is going to happen? I really don't know. But I will say that in the last few days with Mang Lian, he got an award from the United States government for
Human rights defenders.
human right defender. I think that that shows that people are starting to understand that this is something that we have to help. We have to. Of course, the United States always has to be thinking of China. And if we help too much, what is China going to think? So I really don't know. But I am so proud of the Chin people for standing up for their rights. And now I think that the United States is rewarding that struggle.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to ask you another question about what role do you believe the Chin diaspora plays in continuing the legacy of the early missionaries and supporting the Chin community back home?
Well, one of the phenomenon that is happening now in the world Christianity is that the churches are growing in Africa and Asia, and they're dying in places like the United States and in Europe. There has been a huge shift. And so suddenly there are these empty churches. Every day, thousands of churches close in the United States. That's true. And what has been amazing as I've met Sheen people is that the strong feeling is still there. No matter what, the churches are full. And that is really exciting to me. But like I say, it can't be just living in a cave. I think that this is the opportunity. To me, the diaspora of all of these Chin people in many countries is for a reason. You know, when I think of like Laura Carson, her dream maybe would be to have a, five men go over and become pastors and study in the United States. Now here we are, there are probably 80,000 Chin people living in the United States, right? And these are active church people. So I think it's time that the Chin people start um, helping out the Americans. It's kind of like it's your turn to do something for us now. And how that is going to happen, I have no idea. But I always tell the people, look, a lot of these old ladies who are in these American churches, because it's just old people now, they have worked and been good, strong members their whole lives. But now their children and the grandchildren don't come to church anymore. They are very afraid. And so I think that it's important that the Chin people understand something about that and realize that this is their opportunity to reach out to some of these people who have so much fear. I think that it's a golden opportunity. The Chin story from the early times is a tremendous, miraculous story. And I will never be a Chin. I will never understand a lot of things about the Chin people. But I am so thrilled to be a part of the whole picture. And the story goes on and on and on. And I want young Chin people to realize they are part of the story too. And if you look at Carson's and other people that were normal people, I think that maybe some young Chin people should realize that they might have a role in this big picture too. Okay.
Very good answer. Thank you. Thank you. Um, so I do have another question.
Yes.
Can you share a memorable experience or milestone from your advocacy work that reflects the resilience of the Chin people?
Well, I think about, well, today is a rather difficult day for me because 1 year ago, exactly 1 year ago today, my mother died. She was 94 years old. And she died in the morning. And Dr. Pumzamang and another friend were going to come to visit me. And they said, maybe this is a bad time. And I said, no, this is the perfect time. I need you. And so I hadn't ever met Pumzamang before, but after I met him, I realized this is just the person that I need. And so I think that that is the kind of milestone. I'm so proud of the friends that I have been able to make. And I see the tremendous creativity of so many Chin people and their knowledge. And I have one friend who lives in Texas now. He was one of the first people I really got to know. His name is Peter, and it's Hang Lian Tan. And uh, he comes from Hakka, was a teacher there in the college. And he came to visit me. And he went to Princeton last year. And he got all A's. And most of them were A pluses. I'm so proud of this when I look around and see Chin people that are have so much ability. And yes, that keeps me going, is that I realize that the Chin are special people. And now when I read the missionaries' letters, I realize that they knew that too.
All right. Thank you so much for all the answers. Right now, I'll turn to Snow. She
Okay.
does have a lot of questions about missionaries, and she will name a few too. So I'll give the time to Snow now, and she'll be asking you questions, Tom. Thank you so much, Tom.
You're very welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Tom. It was a very nice discussion that we have here. Thank you, Galvin, for giving me a chance. So my question, I would like to base on history of Chin missionary, which is about Reverend Arthur Carson. He played a role, pivotal roles in establishing the first mission stations in Hakka and developing the Roman alphabet for Chin literature. So, how do you think his work impacted the spirituals and cultural identity of the Chin people?
Well, of course, that's what I'm reading so much in these old records now, that there were so many people who could not read. And so getting the school started was a very important step. And there's another Swedish missionary named Ola Hansen. He went to the Kutching people, and he also wrote out their language. And so, these are some amazing people to take the time to get the Bible translated and also other literature for the people. And so I think that that is the biggest cultural thing. Also, I think that all of the missionaries that I've run into have just valued the culture, uh, the dancing, the music, all of these things. It's just so amazing. Oh, by the way, I think that Chin musicians are some of the best musicians I have ever heard. And one of my dreams is I would like to have a film crew come to my place, and then I'd take them to Nebraska and have a filming of the Carson farm. And I would like to have some of the wonderful Chin musicians like David Lai and some of the other people do the background music for it. And, you know, I have been so impressed every time I turn around and hear guys from China and all of these wonderful, wonderful singers. I think talk about a wonderful moment is when I first saw the video of We Are the World with all of the Chin singers. That is just amazing to me. And so I think that um, the missionaries helped with a little bit with some of the music. They say that Dr. East went singing all over the place. And I know that he was singing Swedish songs. And so I think that the Chin people probably heard. And I have a friend in Hakka. His name is Paul Ramchung, and he is a wonderful translator and also a wonderful musician. And he has taken some of the Swedish songs and translated them into Hakachin. And I am so grateful for that because those are the songs that probably Chin people heard Dr. East singing. So, yes, I think that we traded cultural points that are priceless.
Wonderful answers. We also have a musician here, which is Mr. Alvin. He can join you next year.
Yeah, I think that we should do something together, don't you think?
Yes,
Yes,
definitely.
definitely.
So we can say VOC as
Right.
a title. Alrighty, thank you so much. So my next question is, missionary like Dr. J.G. Woodins and Reverend Robert Johnson's also contributed significantly to Chin community, such as education, health, and spiritual growth. How do you see their influence persisting in Chin society today?
Well, I think that the education is the very important thing. Dr. East was very, very good with bringing a lot of medical uh, skill. to the Chin people. Do you know what a goiter is? It's a swelling in your neck. And this was a huge problem for the Chin people because you need to have iodine in your diet.
Mm.
And the land around Hakka didn't have that in their iodine in their diets in the soil. And so what he had to do was to treat a lot of these people with goiters. And he became a world known expert in the treatment that he did. Unfortunately, he had to leave because his wife was sick. So, really, the medical ministry didn't get um, going very well compared to with other countries. But I think the education has been quite good. And like I say, some of my friends that I have met, I am just in awe with their scholarship and their minds. And I have learned a lot from Chin people. And I want to continue learning as much as I can. I have done some teaching, but one of the problems is that um, people are so busy and getting our schedules working at the same time has been hard. Another thing is that sometimes the lines are cut in Myanmar, and so I can't have a regular class with them. So that has been one of the problems. But yeah, I do intend to continue teaching, and then also I've been fortunate to um, work with some Chin scholars and check their dissertations, and so I love doing that. It's hard work, but I love that kind of thing because I'm an English teacher, and so. But I've been so amazed at the scholarship.
Wow, thank you. We do have comment questions, but we will conclude that in the at the ends of our
Okay.
questions. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So my next question is that the deportations of Reverend Robert Johnson's by the military dictatorship marked the end of American Baptist missionary presence in Chin State. How has this legacy shaped the Chin people's continued struggle for religious freedoms?
Well, you know, I've, besides studying Chin people, I've also studied like Chinese people. There was a woman who came from my hometown who spent her whole career as a missionary in China. And when the communists came in 1949, they all had to leave. And they wondered, is there going to be a future for Christianity? Did what anything that we did, is it going to make any difference? Well, those people, if they looked back, if they looked back, sorry, uh, if they looked at, if they were around now to see what has happened, China is becoming Christianized very quickly. They don't need to have the missionaries from America. And so I think that that's what happened in Chinram is that the missionaries that came from America gave them a good start. But very quickly, the native people became leaders. And so it was okay if the missionaries went. It was sad. I know that Reverend Johnson, Dr. Johnson, didn't get to see the church in Hakka completed. He had to leave before that. It broke his heart. But he knew that the work was going to continue on. So I think that the fact that you have so many people now who are continuing to be strong Christians long after, long after the missionaries left, says that this has been a worthwhile effort.
Thank you. My next question is the work of missionaries such as Mr. and Mrs. Bao Xuan and Mr. and Mrs. Tuam Hang is often overlooked. What unique contribution did they make to the growth of Christianity in Chin State?
Well, this is something that I'm going to have to continue to study. Right now, I'm
Mm,
looking at the American missionaries, and give me a little bit more time. It's only 2.5 years that I've been working with this. If I and this next month I'm going to be 72. And so I don't know how many years that I'll have to work on this, but I'll keep working on it.
You
I
still
hope
look very young.
I don't
yeah, I cannot believe that you're 72.
I'm not sure if that's if you're just being kind, and I didn't put on any makeup, but anyway, yeah, I'm going to be quite old now, and so I don't know how many more years of study that I'll do, but I do know this, that in all of the reports from the American missionaries, when they talked about the people like you named, the leaders, they were very complimentary, and they said they are capable and they are going to do wonderful work. And of course, the missionaries from Tidim and Hakka and Falam went down to the south part of Chinram then, and they didn't have American missionaries, and they made a difference down there. So uh, I think that they were had good backgrounds, and so I think that history will prove that it worked out just beautifully. And like I said, the story is not finished yet.
Thank you. Yes, we can't wait to hear it. And then also Chin people should, dive deep into this type of Chin history, especially. And thank you so much for sharing with us. So my last questions would be Christianity has become a cornerstone of Chin identity, but it has also led to persecutions under the Myanmar government.
Mhm.
How do you think the early missionary teachings prepare the Chin people to endure such challenge?
Well, they always say that the blood of the martyrs, the work of the people that are persecuted, help the church grow. And I think that that's what the people in America need to hear when the Chin people come out of their caves. They need to, Chin people need to say, we have suffered, but we are who we are because of our faith. I think that that can be a great inspiration for people, the Americans who are wondering what is happening in our society. I think that the Chin people must be witnesses to that. Um, and so I think that that's one of the things that has moved me very much when I see the struggles that the Chin people have. And when I'm teaching and a student will suddenly say, "Do you hear that?" I said, "No, I don't hear it." What are you talking about? And they said, "Oh, it's bombing out here." I mean, constant bombing. And they people are living under that day and night. And so, this idea of staying strong is something that the message that I think that Chin people have gained very much. And so, what I want to see, kind of a conclusion here, what I want to see is many Chin people coming to visit me. I want that to be for this 2025. I want to have a lot of Chin people come, see our Swedish culture here, eat our Swedish food. You can dance if you want to. Um, and there are so many things, but especially I want Chin people to see where their great missionaries came from, that they were only normal people. And we're all normal people. At least I am. I don't know about you two. But I think that it should be a great impetus for all of us to see that great things can come out of everyday life.
Yes, definitely. We are normals, so we have to, present each other as normal people, right? As daily
Right.
goes by. So, one comment, questions, but he actually deleted. But I actually has to minimize the question that he asked, which is why do you think Chin people are specials? That's what his question is, if I'm not wrong. So if you could minimize that question a little bit, it will be better. Would you?
I'm sorry.
Would you?
Before Tom answered,
Yes.
was it from Ruben?
Yes, Ruben.
Yeah, I think he changed his question to, can he give us why he says
Oh,
we are
yes.
special people and what inspires him in interesting about our people at the expense of other ethnicities? That's what his question is.
Yes. That's the questions.
Well, I haven't met too many people from other ethnic groups in Myanmar. I just got this chance to be with Chin people, and that's where I started studying. And I say, why is it that Chin people are, what has happened in our history? And then that we have something in common. So that's why I have continued. And yeah, I could do some work with Kachin people too, uh, but right now, considering the time in my life is flying very fast, I think I better just stay with Chin people. And the Chin people I have met have been delightful.
Thank you. I mean, that's why we are called special. So yeah, you answered it pretty good, pretty neatly. I will love it. Thank you so much. So my last questions, even though you have already answered a bunch of questions, I like to know. Earlier you talked about sabuti. So like, have you tasted? How do you like it?
So
Yes,
no, I know you were asking that.
I went to Kansas City because I have a friend, Boy Dua, from Calemio, and they were having sabuti, and I said, I'm going to drive 3 hours so I can eat sabuti, and it was great. And so I definitely enjoyed my time there, and so, but I still say there are a lot of people that need to come and visit me now. I am retired, so I have all the time in the world. I told you, Snow, that the best airport is probably Wichita. It's an hour away. But then also Kansas City is 3 hours. I'd be happy to come and get you. There have been about 10 Sheen friends who have come to visit me. And I wanted to have like 1,000 more. Uh, this next year. Also, I think that there should be some Chin people come to live in Lindsborg. I think that that would be great. I feel sorry for the people who are in big cities. I think that it would be nice to have some people that are working on farms around here because we're in a rural area. And I think that I can help maybe make some of that happen. So
Definitely. You call it. There was a different name though. If you call it that way, I think many people will come and visit. So we should call it Little Sweden. Is that what it is?
Little Sweden USA. If you go online and just type in Little Sweden USA, you will find Lindsborg suddenly. And go ahead and look at the tourist attractions. There is so much to do. And so I tell people, don't come for just one day. It's best to come for 3 days. Then I can take you to the Carson place or any other interesting things around in the area. I can treat you like kings and queens.
Thank you so much. That will be all from me, from my part. Galvin, I will hand it back to you. Thank you, Mr. Nelson, for giving me a chance
Very
to.
well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Snow. Tom, what a great interview that we have with you. Thank you so much. I have so many thoughts, questions that I want to continue on, but since we're limited time, so hopefully when we have the next time, we'll invite you again. Definitely ask you about a bunch of questions, regarding to missionaries, also about your life too. One of the thoughts that came when you were talking about, coming to little Sweden, I was thinking about like, oh, okay, so in Hakka language, it's called jivui. If you want to invite somebody for a bunch of people, it's called jivui, and which translates to conference.
I know about Chivui. I knew that word from Dr. Sakong's book.
Oh,
That
okay,
was one of the first, and so yes, we could have the next association meeting here, and like I said, you come and do your dances, and there's Swedish dancers here, and we can all be like we are the world,
yes.
uh, and so I have really enjoyed this opportunity to meet with you. And when are you coming, Elvin?
Summertime if we have enough time. Yeah,
Okay. All right. Well,
yeah.
you're very welcome. And so you just keep in touch with me. Anything else that I can do for the voice of Chinland, I would be very happy to do. And so use me in any way you want. And that's all that I think that I need to say for now.
Thank you so much, Tom. We would like to call you Boo Thomas Nelson.
Or you can call me Uncle Tom if you want.
Yes, that's exactly translated as Boo. So Uncle is like
Okay. All
Boo.
right.
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
yeah. What a great time we have. Thank you so much, Tom. And for those of you who are listening to our interview, thank you so much for listening. Thanks for the comments. Please like and share our video, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.